Welcome to our broadcast. I'm your host, Michael Lange, and this is Oakland Is. Today we're going to be talking to Mr. Eddie Abrams, who spearheaded a trip to Allensworth. Some of you may be familiar with Allensworth, many of you may not. But a little African-American town was founded in 1908 by a chaplain in the military who founded Allensworth. And 1,300 people last year went to Allensworth to pay homage to that particular area. Now, it's difficult to find a black college west of the Mississippi, and here is a black town in California. So I want to welcome you to the program, and just tell me, how did you first hear about Allensworth?
Thank you, Michael Lange. First I heard about Allensworth, actually, the president of the Oakland chapter of Friends of Allensworth, 13 chapters throughout the state of California, where the president of the Oakland chapter passed. I didn't know anything about Allensworth. Some of the members of Friends of Allensworth, and it was a membership organization, they called me and asked me to be president. And I never heard I never heard of Allensworth. So that's my first my awareness of Allensworth. When some members called me and said, the president died, would you consider temporarily being the president until we can...
Well, they put it in good hands because you were a mover and a shaker. You had the House of Unity for many years. You've been a repository for so many different programs, particularly for African-American youth, but certainly you've done quite a bit since your time that you retired. I think you went into public service.
Yes.
So now, Allensworth, tell me, give me some parameters. How large was the community that lived in Allensworth?
Well, the height of the community, there were 200 people at the height, 200 people in Allensworth. But let me tell you, Allensworth was a real thriving town. They attracted the best from all over, because now here's a black town, as you say, established in 1908. And here's a black town that, here's a town that self-governed. They don't have to worry about the high sheriff or anything as black people living in other towns. So Allensworth was quite attractive, and it attracted an awful lot of the best minds coming to Allensworth. You wanted to live, everybody wanted to live in a town where they felt free and able to be creative. Yes.
So now this is just prior to World War I.
Yes.
And we have a town that is thriving, so there's a school, there's a drugstore, there's a hotel, all of these things that make up a town in California at the turn of the century.
Yes.
And so how could you get 1,300 people from the Bay Area, primarily Oakland, to be on the same page to go down to Allensworth?
May I just back up just a little bit? I am the past president, you know that, and this was in the early 90s. And at the time, I hosted a show on a station called Soul Beat. And at the time I was president, I used to talk about Allensworth. Every week I go on the show. And yet, as I walk through my community today, Michael, 8 out of 10 people never heard of it. I'm talking about people who you think ought to know, our educators, our clergy, and people you think you ought to know don't know. And so last year, I was inspired to change that. And that's why we started on the plan of bringing attention to Allensworth. And I wanted Oakland to lead that effort, because I want other cities to follow Oakland so we can really spread it out. And it was blessed. It was a miracle, because along with the plan, when I was inspired the plan, I was also given how to. I mean, I was given the vision and the plan. And so we went to our churches and organization and just asked them to sponsor buses. They paid me for the bus, and then I could go ahead and secure the amount of buses. It's a tremendous task, but it was easy, given from where I got my inspiration from, and made it easy. Now, 1,300 people that's a miracle.
Now, the town apparently went through some tough times where Colonel Allensworth passed away. There were issues with the water. There's probably a long period of time where nothing happened in that particular area.
Yes.
And now we're in 2006. Can you fill in what happened at Allensworth?
Thank you. The towns, as I said, were established in 1908. Colonel Allensworth was killed in 1914. at the same time, at about that same time, the water, they had problems with the water. It's two key elements if you want to establish a town.
Okay.
You need transportation, you need water. When they established the town, they had this railroad track running right through the center. That's transportation. And you had artesian wells. That's to start out, and that's why they started the town. But in 1914, he got killed at the same time. They found arsenic in the water. There was a lot of jealousy. People, it was a thriving town, and so the town surrounding Allensworth, they didn't like that very much. And so there's always, we thought, they tried to get rid of Allensworth. They just didn't like it. And of course, and then World War I came along, and it got some of our best men, you know, going off to the war. And with his death, the war, and the water, those three elements, people had to start moving away, and the town started dying down. You know, now, you know, it's a state historic park is established there where they have everything just like it was when you established a historical park. You got to redo everything just as it was, right?
Right, yes.
And so when you go to Allensworth, all those, some of the houses had rotten down, the church, they reestablished it.
Okay.
Just as it was in 1908.
Now, when you went there, and I was there with you last year.
Yeah, you were the MC, and I appreciate that very much.
It was a wonderful experience. Does your mind take you back to the time when the people were living there, where you imagined how it could have been or must have been at that time?
That, and not just me, but everyone that you talk with or interview, they say the same thing. It takes them back to the time, and they can see. And it's so important, Micah, that we take our young folks and the elders, you know, just to connect with that part of history. Right now, you can walk in a house, you can flip a light on, and the lights come on. Those people had no indoor plumbing, they had no electricity. All the things, and every day was a challenge. You got to get up early in the morning, you got to cut the wood to make the fire to cook. I mean, and you can just go back and you imagine what those people must have gone through just to live in those days. And now you're going to establish a complete town.
So have you met anybody who came from Allensworth?
Yes. We're going to, on the tape that you might allow us to show, they'll see Alice Royal, who grew up in Allensworth, and she can share some more, put some more light on how it was growing up there.
Oh, great. Well, we're going to get a chance now to take a look at Allensworth. This is really hallowed ground. I mean, this is a very special place, and it's a place that we can continue to go to, and when we get back, we want to talk about the next trip, which is, I know, in September.
Yes.
And it's the Peace and Unity.
Peace and Unity Day, and it's an annual thing. Yet last year was inaugural, and after Eddie Abrams have left this earth, the last Saturday in September, whatever date that fall on, the third Saturday, right? And in September, people will be going to Allensworth for Peace and Unity.
Great. Okay, well, we're going to take a roll in now and take a look at Allensworth, California, about 40 miles north of Bakersfield.
Just arriving at Allensworth, one of the many buses we've taken to Allensworth.
That's what they're auctioning off, folks. Nice quilt. That's HT there. Making money for Allensworth.
This is how they dressed in the day, folks.
Hello there, Mr. Abrams.
All right, all
How you
right.
doing, man? I want to talk
Better
to you
than
before
good.
you leave here today now.
All right. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful.
You was on bus number 205 coming up from Oakland today. You did speak about Allensworth,
Yes,
which
I
is
did.
your ancestor.
Yes, a great uncle, and I'm very proud descendant of the Colonel, a man ahead of his time.
Exactly. You also spoke to the fact that some people say you look like him, and I agree with that statement.
Thank you. Yeah, well, as they say, it's in the blood,
Yes.
it's in the genes, you know.
Yes. Well, you were keeping on with, you involved, you're a people person, you're a teacher,
Yes.
and you're keeping on the legacy of your
That's very-
relative or friend, because he was very concerned about African Americans, and so are you.
No, most definitely. And I think it's so important, especially for our youth today. I'm hoping that he could serve as an inspiration for a lot of our youth to see that he persevered a very inhumane experience and was able to be successful.
Well, I'll be hooking up with you. We have a space for you in Oakland to exercise some of your talent.
I would love to do that.
The House of Unity.
Thanks a lot. I would
Okay,
love to
take
be
care.
a part of that. You're welcome.
right.
Take care.
HT's folks, Henry Thomas, and I think he agreed that this young man I just interviewed resembled Allensworth. Is that right?
Yes, he does.
He does.
He also played in the play that we gave at the Black Repertory Theater. He played the Colonel in that play also.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk to him later on even more extensively.
Okay.
All right. Who is this lady here?
Well, good afternoon.
Hello.
How you doing? I'm Susie Smith. I'm a volunteer coordinator and also a docent in Allensworth State Historical Park.
And
I've been volunteering for now over 24 years
Yes.
at Allensworth State Park. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you. You look like you're getting younger instead of aging. This Allensworth is agreeing with you, going back the other way.
But the board is wearing down. The spirit is high.
Uh-huh.
The board is wearing down. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's good.
But it's nice to be here. We have so many beautiful people here today.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
We got to doing our cakewalk, and it was
Yeah.
very successful.
All right. That's
Okay,
wonderful.
thank you very
They're
much.
still coming, too.
Uh-huh.
Okay, how good. This gentleman here, there's a whole lot of history associated with that uniform. How you doing, sir?
All right.
Okay, I'm doing better than good, actually. Always proud to see the black man wearing this uniform proudly. Tell us briefly about the uniform and what it represents.
Well, it represents the Indian Wars, Buffalo soldiers out of the Civil War. The uniform basically out of the Civil War. Buffalo soldiers received the used uniforms. They didn't get the updated uniforms, so...
When you say used, after white folks finish with them, they pass them on to black folks.
Well, that's what they did.
Yes.
Used horses, used weapons.
And took that used that they had and was better soldiers than they were when they were new.
That's about right.
All right. We're going to talk with you later on. Thank you.
Something for the old folks, something for the in-between folks. It's all good. You gotta come to Allensworth for the experience. You'll run back to tell other folks.
To welcome you.
This lady here grew up in Allensworth.
And don't we have a lot
Alice
of
Raw.
here? And we stopped to think about the time when we were growing up. It was the waltz and the two-step. Then you went into a whole lot of other things. And then in later life you went into the boogie-woogie. And then they've got a whole lot of different things. But this group, you saw the rhythm, didn't you? It was beautiful. Welcome, welcome to our historic site. We're so pleased to have you come. We want you to continue to use this park because unless we continue to use it, we will lose it. And that it's open year-round. And as a person that has been working with this now for over 30 years, this is a beautiful thing to see, but we also know that we've got a state budget crunch, and unless this park is used, we will lose it. But I want to welcome you here, and I hope that we'll see you in the Hackett home before. But I want to introduce another member of the Pioneer family, and it happens to be my brother. He came from Washington, D.C. to just be with us today, and he's also a lieutenant colonel. And he has given us miles and miles of military history on Allensworth for the use right here in this park. He has just returned from France. He was given the Medal of Honor in France for the D-Day celebration. And so I just want him to say hello to you as a member of the Pioneer family. Reverend Edward Calvert, Lieutenant Colonel and Chaplain, and a Buffalo soldier.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Assemblywoman Nicole Parra. I represent the 30th Assembly District. That's Fresno, Kings, Tulare, and Bakersfield, California. I'm here with Frank Steiger, who works for me. For 2 years, I was elected 2 years ago, and we're standing right here in front of the school in Allensworth, and the town named after Colonel Allensworth. My involvement with Allensworth is as soon as we came in and met with the community members, Nettie Morrison, working with my staff, said we need to form a town council. We want to be able to have a voice, especially when you need a voice to the Tulare County Board of Supervisors. So we came in. Frank Steiger, what did you do and how did you help the town council come to formation and to this day help organize the community?
Well, Nicole, first of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for this interview. I was able to touch bases with the county supervisor, Connie Conway, with her staff, and we were able to have a formal election sanctioned by the county of Tulare County, and we had elected formal board members, and now they have a community government that represents the Allensworth community, and they can actually create their own bills, and they'll be able to collect trash and do other codes and in association with any other thing that a town council can do in Tulare County.
Wonderful. Thanks, Frank. And also one of the great things is be able to work with elected officials to get more state grants and federal grants, which will help with the community center, after-school programs, and just more importantly, help the community. The state park, as many people know, is right next to the town. And with Frank's efforts in my office, we were able to help the community get free access, free entrance to the park to learn more about the history. This is just one of the most beautiful communities in the Central Valley, and I'm just honored to be helpful, and I look forward to doing more work here in Allensworth.
Why would you be so concerned and so passionate about helping Allensworth, the Black family?
I'm interested in helping get the word out and the history in the Central Valley because I was born and raised here. I have many family and friends of all races and all religious and all ethnicities. And to me, it's not about color. It's about helping to protect the history, having people understand. And I was in the classroom learning more about the history in Allensworth. So it's not definitely because I'm not African American, but I want to be able to help, not control or not be in one of authority figure, but just help the town here.
Would you agree that African Americans indeed have been represented, not represented at all in American history on the positive side?
I agree 100%. African Americans, and we also see that in with Native Americans. It's the story of people, and that's why it's American history, American culture, that we need to make sure that the next generation and future generations don't forget or have the opportunity to learn about. And that's why we are all here in Allensworth, and it's so important that we know the history of all races and ethnicities.
Well, we thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're here at Allensworth State Historic Park celebrating the 19th annual rededication of a town founded by blacks, developed by blacks, and thrived and became an economic success as one of the factors in the history of California's development as a state. And boy, what have you missed? You should have been here. We had 3 stages of entertainment. We had gospel. We had rhythm and blues. We had children playing historic games. We had hay rides, and we had educational experiences, things to tell you all you need to know about the contributions of African Americans that you don't find in your school books and that you very frequently would read about in the newspapers. We have a whole program that's run by volunteers throughout the state. The Friends of Allensworth is an interpretive association. There are 19 chapters, or 12 chapters, excuse me, throughout the state. And these people volunteer their time, evenings, weekends, to make something very special and come alive here in this very unique park. This is one of 300 park units in the state of California. It's the only one of its kind in the country. And while we want to see you look and enjoy tonight's show, it would be so much better if you were actually physically here. I mean, you'd feel the spirit, you'd get the sense of what your ancestors did, and it can make you feel so proud of being an African American at a time when we seem to be facing so much adversity. But my grandmother used to say, adversity makes you strong, and through it you build character. So won't you join us and become a Friends of Allensworth support volunteer? Even if you can't come down, just join up. It's $10 a family. And we take $5 tree pledges because we want to reconstruct the town as it once was and have it with its horses and its carriages and all of the schools and things. But the museum pieces, the buildings that exist are absolutely fabulous. If you've never seen what it was like to live in the 1900s and the early and late 1800s, you need to come here. This is only one in the United States of America. There are other towns that were founded by African Americans. Don't get me wrong. They're there. They're called settlements. But this is the only town fully incorporated where our first black justice of the peace, our first police officer elected came from here for the state of California. And you need to see it. You'll enjoy it. You'll be like I am. The volunteers come and say, join us, sister, come and help us. And it grows on you. You won't be able to stop coming. And one day we'll get this so fully constructed that you'll be able to see the livery stables, the blacksmith shop, the 3 restaurants they had here. And believe it or not, you come early in the morning, if we get it, you'll be able to see the bakery. They had a bakery. I find that absolutely fascinating because we all buy our breads nowadays. But living-wise, you'll be able to see that all. And so I want to thank you very much for listening to me. We have chapters throughout the state. If you're in Oakland, you're sure this address of our chapter will show up on your screen. We have 5 events next year. Do join us. Thank you so much for your time. I'll look forward to seeing you. Joanne Frierson with the Department of Parks and Recreation.
We're back. Wow, that was a great clip where history meets its destiny. And so I want to get back into your brain and figure out, now there must be the prize, you know, you say keep your eyes on the prize. What is the prize of Allensworth to you?
Prize is education and knowledge, knowing. That's the prize, and I think we've been absent of that. We don't have it in our school, our history.
Okay, so if they don't have this in school, right, so the young people can really benefit by knowing about this place, that a town existed.
The young, old, and in between, because a lot of old folks
never knew?
Never heard about it. Like I said earlier, you walk around the community, people don't hear about Allensworth, and that's the purpose of putting this on, Micah, so people can know. No, go and visit. It's not something you just have to read in a book, but you can go and physically see where people live, how they lived, and this is powerful. And everybody on the bus going, what we do, we have what we call edutainment. Okay. So I have a DVD or VHS made for each bus so they can see we educate through entertainment. We have our young folks doing their dance. We have our older folks playing their music. Okay. What we're trying to do is bridge the gap, so there's so much built into this trip. It's not just about going to Allensworth, but it's bringing this many people together of all age group, genders, all this ethnicities, is bringing them together to go for one purpose, and that's to go and learn about our history, because black history is world history.
Now, how would you institutionalize or make more permanent, whether it's the 3rd Saturday of every September, how do you see that happening, even beyond your ability to continue to work with it?
Well, even after I left this earth, once you start something, it's like planting a seed. It's like planting a seed in the ground. You plant it and water it, and it got the right sunshine, it has to grow. And so we'll planted the seed. We plant that September the 16th, 2005. The seed has been planted. That seed was 17 bus loads of people. That's a miracle. 17 bus loads, and some people rode motorcycles, some people drove their own car. Now, we had to stop selling tickets because I had to pay for the 17 buses, and we cut it off, and the Tribune ran a story the Thursday before, and people was calling in, I'll go, I want to play twice, just the knowledge of knowing. People were so excited.
Wow. So that type of momentum began to expand and expand, but what was the first indication to you that I'm going to now need 17 buses? What was happening dynamically to make that work?
Well, no, I didn't know 17 buses when it started out. I just started calling some of my friends, and I'm blessed. I want everybody to know how blessed I am to know some pastors in Oakland, some friends, organizations. And so in lieu of me trying to sell individual tickets, I have a committee together. We first got a committee together, and then we went and asked these people to sponsor a bus. And so I didn't have all that trouble to say, we're responsible for a bus. And so they they had their own people at the church or whatever go and get this history.
I
That's
see.
on one way, and then we need sponsors too. Some people, they give us the equivalent of what it would cost for a bus, because some people are financially challenged, and so we let a lot of our entertainers rode free, the youth, we rode free because some people sponsored a bus, and we could do it that way.
Wow.
So it just, I don't know, it just happened. I surprised myself because I don't know about the religion and stuff, but I know there's a higher power other than Eddie Abrams. Something gave me the notion to do it and the plan how to.
But in recent memory, I can't think of anything that has happened in Oakland where 1,300 people would all go to a destination.
At one time.
At one time,
yeah.
And so this is clearly a unique opportunity and such a marvelous repository of so much African American history. In closing, I'd like to know if you could give us the information of when we're going to be going back this
Thank you.
year.
I just wanted to say this real quick. We went to history to find out about the history of Allensworth, but we made history by going there. That's Penny Bus. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
And we'll be making history because we're have more than that. And how you do it, the folks out there who want to be part of this, let me give you the phone number, and you'll probably see it on the screen. It's area code 510-430-9931. If your church or organization would like to participate in this by sponsoring a bus, please call that number. Again, that's area code 510-430-9931. The website, I'd like to do that if I may.
Sure, your email.
I keep saying website. The email, Abrams_HOU@yahoo.com.
Well, this is going to be a great program, and we have the internet, we have the media, we have radio, television, we have the greatest of all, word of mouth, and this will create that momentum, and I just wish you so much luck, and I look forward to going back again and having a great time. It was a spiritual journey, and to be able to touch that earth, to be able to talk to some of the people who were there, who were telling us about Mr. Allensworth and about the townspeople, meeting people who live there, just a great opportunity. And I want to thank you for doing that.
I want to thank Oakland Is because it's all, and I think that's how we all do, by collaborating, by coming together for a oneness of purpose, working with the media. Oakland Is the House of Unity. That's I failed to mention that. I'm the founder of Family Resource House of Unity. And all of us coming together for a oneness of purpose, we'll make this country better by knowing, knowledge, power.
Let's keep our eyes on the prize, and let's all take a deep breath and say, okay, we're getting ready to go back to Allensworth, September
this year, it would be September the 16th, 2006. Don't forget, call in and let's make this, let's keep the momentum growing. The snowball has started.
Okay, thank you. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
So long.
Thank you.
That you're playing about is about